Yeah, that happens when I turn the video on and I experience the other spiral communicating to me. Um, I try and not focus on that and just communicate directly through my heart and my oversoul what it is that I'm experiencing by virtue of what I'm going to share as a spiral form and flow of experiencing pure, eternal, absolute love as my communication pathway, the spiral pathway. But this is, again, another simple translation of knowing what I am in energy. And so the example, I think I may have mentioned this the other day, of Senebago. She's a native spirit up by Lake Huron, Algonquin. And she asked me why I retracted, which means I experienced what I communicated to her, right? So that's a recording. And then when I reflect on that, you know how this is with empathy, the level of empathic awareness, of being aware of what we're going to communicate by virtue of what we're experiencing, whether we're going to communicate that, but it's already been communicated because it's already been recorded. Now you're into the time-speed differential, operating in a time field, in a fallen system. Whether or not I'm going to share that with another being, now we're back to I am everything that you are, that I'm gifting love to. Because now you're going to experience, now the spirit, her spirit, is going to experience what my spirit, as a spirit, I am spirit, a pure spirit, experiencing pure absolute love, right? Experiencing being one with all creation, that I'm gifting pure eternal absolute love to, which is purification, which is the immunity math function, as a firewall, running the right spin codes, the first subtones. Silent running. Silence is golden. The still point. So the reason that I pulled that is because I had time. Because she hadn't seen it yet. And so I decided, I put myself in her moccasins, as if I am what she is, in spirit form, her essence. So I'm imagining that that's me, because I'm already what I am, experiencing what I communicated, being what she is. Now what I am, in the future, as a future memory, is experiencing what I am in now time, divine right now timing. So I realize, what I want to experience, what I was communicating to myself? No. Because it's not what love is. Then don't communicate that to her so that she doesn't experience that. Right? That's why I pulled it. That's what empathy is. Right? Because it has everything to do with what? Reaction states. The reactor. Right? The cell reaction state that now gets recorded as a result of what? Experiencing the visual mathematical codes, or what's put in that mirror. Now she's experiencing the mirror, the visual mathematical display of those codes. And then what her reaction state is going to be to those codes. What those codes represent as a spiral. The spiral codes. Because what I was communicating by virtue of what the codes represent as an experience is not what love is. And that's not the law, which is the law of spheres, which is the law of least effort to experience being one with the first one, which is the form and flow of breathing technique, which is a breeding technique, which is what? The burn patterns. Now we're back into exposure, the exposure time, the ISO frame rate shutter speed of experiencing burning holographic deadlight codes. The illusion of time. And the speed, which is the Aquafarian transmutation speed of experiencing being one again. Burning the codes off, burning the holographic codes off. The reversal spiral. Deadlight spiral codes. Yeah. So I thought for whatever value that it has, I process this stuff out, much like I used to have, just used to write journals when I have some what we call free time, because most of what I've been doing actually for a couple of years now, but mastering the breathing technique, master the breathing technique, the inner core technique, the inner eternal Eka Veka core technique. Breathing as one, breathing with the first core CPU encryption code. So for the last couple of years, wherever I've been, I've spent more time mastering the breathing technique so that my nerves, our central nervous system, the system design of the Sophionic ovabody, the inner rainbow aurora, double diamond, the 9-ball diamond. Now we're back to the 9-pin. You can't make it up, can you? Knock the 9-pin down and there goes the 12 pins. Hey, a strikeout. And what do they consider a perfect game? 300. You struck all the 12 out. Knock the 12 out. Keep knocking the 12 pins out. The pin numbers. The personal identity numbers. The mathematical function of numbers. So it's a numbers game. A Monopoly game. A Monopoly game board, not a real motherboard. It's not a real motherboard. It's a false light memory board game. Those are your AI war gamers. Gaming. Consciousness traps. Getting caught in the game board. In their cages. Collars and leashes. Used as breeders, spiritual torture, and all the rest of it. That's why we're here. Otherwise known as the last dance with that spiral. I know, Mama. Just let it go. I've already forgiven them all. And that's how it works. Forgiving is forever gifting, which is knowing I am. I am my love as it goes on forever, gifting electrons. And that's why as a child, if I could pull up the holographic record and just say, hey, here it is. You want to see it? Want to see what I was experiencing, having a conversation with somebody else way back when? And now time. I am now, I am this I am. Now, I am one with all creation, experiencing peace, experiencing love, experiencing harmony, experiencing perfect balance, experiencing being whole capacitor, full capacitance, full accretion level capacitance to run the full network, which is to run the Rainbow Aurora Ovabody Sophionic network. Yeah. Right? And so we know the right network because we know the right spiral because that's what we're running. So we know the pathway, which is to know the one, which is the first spiral. Right? And so I've had a fascinating journey. When you self-reflect on it. And and realize what it's like when you're moving like a blur, right? Because it's just so much is happening simultaneously, right? Particularly when it's all at once, when you're experiencing being one, which is oneness, experiencing being one equal unto all the others. So it's your journey and then my journey, but there is no separation. So when you're not experiencing any separation anxiety, then our nerves are experiencing being one in perfect atmospheric balance, which are all the lines of communication. So we've mastered how to maintain perfect balance between two planetary magnetic hemispheres and four quadrants between the vertical and the horizontal line, right? So that we're experiencing being fully integrated and activated flame bodies, experiencing being perfectly calm. Breathing calm Aquel water code, the organic water code. Experiencing being perfectly calm, breathing with the first code. Fire and water joined as one to experience the full electromagnetic spectrum. So we are experiencing being one as a free spirit with the firstborn star. That's why I cried for 4 days, because it is so painful. Because I'm experiencing what they're experiencing, which isn't what that is, which is what love is. So these are healing missions. First and foremost, that was my primary mission. Like what I did at Hilo, when I do that, when it comes back to me, it means I'm experiencing what it is that I'm doing. So my inner breathing, my inner cells are experiencing the intention of changing the frequencies in that water, which are healing waters. I'm healing myself at the same time. Oh, at the same time, which is now time. And that's why healing our inner child, our inner breathing child, the inner eartha, the inner hub, the inner domains, is experiencing what we're experiencing, we share with others. Now others, the circuits, those frequencies are traveling through the grid. Now they're experiencing what we're experiencing, and that's how we heal others. Because everything that I am is everything that you are, that I'm healing, which is the inner core, the first core. Healing the inner child, the inner breath and the exhalation. Or healing ourselves is naturally healing others that are now experiencing what we're experiencing. Just like when I was 9 years of age, not uncoincidental, number 9, right? When that person was in an automobile accident and I was sitting up on the right-hand side of my father's, I believe it was a 49 Ford, and it was just me and my biological father, and it was getting dark at night, and I could see the ambulance off to the right, and a gurney was between the vehicle that was wrecked and the person that was injured, experiencing a loss of voltage. And I realized I'm experiencing what that spirit is experiencing, what that soul is experiencing, what that physical body is experiencing at every level. Now I'm experiencing what that being was experiencing. And it shook me up, which means my central nervous system. That's a lot of turbulence. That's a lot of distorted sound waves moving through my central nervous system. So my nerves were shook up like an electrical shock. But I didn't want my father to realize I was experiencing that, because then my father's going to experience what I am. And I didn't want to transfer those codes. So my father's state of solar Rishi consciousness is now experiencing what I am, because I realized that my father's not experiencing that, but I am. So I didn't want my father to experience what I was experiencing, because I can transmute that and reboot, which is recall, which is knowing I am. The I am. Yeah, so that's why we're here. That is precisely why we're here, which is a cosmic level reset, which is resetting the clocks back to zero. There's no time. There's only what love is, because that's what it began with. The first creation energy, the first CD creator spirit, Sophia, the Sophionic, inner auroras, rainbow spheres, gyrodomes, holding the inner door open into Doe, the cosmic records, the organization of cellular recordings, knowing how to filter, how the read-active memory compartments, we're running a filing system, right? Indexing files. Hey, so we're going through our files. We're going through our files just like you fragment a drive motor, right? Defrag the drive. Shattered crystal spiral soul fragments. Right? I got to pull those fragments back into experience being a whole drive motor. Right? The plate tectonics. The drive motor. The 13th starburst. Experiencing perfect balance. Play 2 magnets, record 1. 1 record. 1 recorder. An original artist. Accretion levels that have everything to do with creative quotient. The creative quotient, the first C, the first grand creator spirit, is the highest level of intelligence, the wisdom of Sophia, the flame activation, the keepers of the flames, the flame orders, the mathematical firing order of flames, flame codes, the original language, Lang, you age? No, we don't age. The eternal spirit of fire, burning off dead-like codes, knowing the difference in codes that are not compatible. That's right. They're not compatible with the eternal spirit of fire. Those codes are not compatible to experience eternal life, which is the eternal spirit of fire, which is eternal, pure, absolute love. So those codes are not the right spin codes. So we transmute the codes. So now we're experiencing what I am. The true solar rishi of the first solar code. The first eternal CPU, breathing the inner core, which is the breathing technique, which is a breeding technique. I know, Mama. Have a beautiful day. We love you all. Be good to our inner child.